All right, it looks like we're going to have enough cards to do this review before the community card reveals. Let's go. First card we have today is Plague of Madness, which was the first card that we got revealed to us from defeating the bosses in the current Tavern Brawl. Now, Plague of Madness is a 1-mana rogue spell that equips each player with a 2/2 poisonous knife. So this is a really interesting card to decide whether it's good or not because of its symmetric effect. So on one hand, it is literally a 1-mana poisonous charge. On the other hand, it gives your opponent a weapon. On the other hand, it may remove their weapon, so it's weapon removal as well as being removal. As well, you could also combo this with Harrison to remove it, or any other removal if you're running weapon removal. As well, if you're running a deck that doesn't really have minions and you're trying to do some kind of control-y rogue deck, like a Shadowcaster rogue, probably not going to be competitive because of this, but still, in any kind of like non-minion-centric rogue deck, it doesn't really matter if your opponent has a 2/2 weapon. So, not broken, I don't think, but clearly it has a lot of strength to it if you put this in the right deck. Next up, we have Psychopomp. I love that name. It's so fun to say. This is the second card revealed from the Tavern Brawl card reveals. It is a 4-mana, 3/1 priest minion that has a battle cry, summon a friendly minion that died this game, and give it Reborn. So this is a very interesting card that I like to think about. It has a res effect, but it's not just purely good in Big Priest, which is good. And it makes you think about res probabilities, right? If you were to play this in Big Priest, obviously you're giving yourself a bad res target or Shadow Essence target, but you're creating some pretty interesting synergy possibilities. Like, imagine if you got this to summon an obsidian statue. So it's really good with resummoning big things because it makes them sticky if they're not already sticky. But it's not directly good at Big Priest. So what I was thinking was either Death Rattle Priest or just straight up Res Priest. Like, imagine turn 3 you play Injured Blade Master. Remember when Injured Blade Master was in Res Priest back in the day? So turn 3 Injured Blade Master, it dies. Turn 4 Psychopomp. So you get an Injured Blade Master that when it dies, it'll summon a 4/1 Injured Blade Master that can be healed up to 4/7. That's pretty good. If you're playing some kind of mid-rangey with bigger-ish minions, Death Rattles like Sylphanus, Cairn, Obsidian Statue, like I said before, this card can be really good. And adding more reses like this that are smaller and taint the res pool will allow a mid-range res deck to exist in Wild, where you can play Res Priest the way that you did before without only having big minions, which I would like to see. I don't like playing against Big Priest, but this might be interesting to play against. Okay, we have 3 new cards that were revealed together for Paladin. We have the first one, the 1-mana 2/1 Brazen Zealot, which is whenever you summon a minion, gain +1 attack. Odd Paladin? Yes. A lot of people have already said that. Yes. This card's going to be good. I don't know what to tell you. This card is just good. If you can give it health, which you can do in Odd Paladin, or give it Divine Shield, it's just really strong. Honestly, the 1 health is not that much of a downside. One of the things I heard you can do that I thought was a good idea is you can play this with Young Priestess, and then you'll have a 2/1 Young Priestess and a 3/2 pretty early on. So, first Paladin card, pretty good. Second one, we have Sandwasp Queen, a 2-mana 3/1 battlecry. Add 2 2/1 Sandwasps to your hand. So it's kind of like a Firefly, obviously, in comparison, where it adds stuff to your hand, but it adds more stuff to your hand, but it costs 1 more, and I think the minions that you get out of the Firefly are better. I think the 1/2s are better, but the reason that Firefly is good isn't exactly the stats. It's partially the stats, but it's mostly the fact that you're getting extra minions. That's why we get Acorn Bear being played and Token Druid. So this being 3 low-cost minions in 1, I assume that this card will also be pretty good. Now, the last one, Salhet's Pride, a 3-mana, 3/1 beast with Death Rattle. Draw 2 1-health minions from your deck. So this is going to be a very interesting card that actually I think is really good for combo decks, because the first thing I thought of was you can use this to draw your Novice Engineers and your Thalnos and Loot Hoarders, but you can also use it to draw a bunch of other like more important, like bigger things. So I wouldn't expect this to be used with like small minions like it looks like it's intended to. I'd expect this to be used to draw like combos or something like Lanessa. You can use this to get Twilight Drake. I'd expect it to be seen for more things like that, but definitely it's a good card. One of Paladin's weaknesses is good card draw, and this helps create better card draw synergy for Paladin, so I think that's going to be pretty good. And now we have the third card from the Tavern Brawl card reveals, which is the Shaman Plague, Plague of Murlocs. 3-mana spell, transform all minions into random Murlocs. This is definitely a card. Jesus Christ. This is really good at just being like a mass polymorph. Obviously, there's the chance that this could just go wrong, and either you could give your opponent really good minions, or you can get yourself really shitty minions, but it's a mass polymorph. If you're playing a deck that is more of a control deck that doesn't have minions, or if you're just playing a controlled or like a fast deck that wants more Murlocs, you could turn your shitty Murlocs from the 1 Murloc totem from Ungoro into better Murlocs. But I think the one deck in Wild that I really like this against is Big Priest, because you can fill their res pool with bad cards, and it does it slightly better, in a better way than Hex, because you can make more bad minions for the Big Priest res pool in 1 card rather than just making the 0/1 Frog, which is a better minion to make for them on your side. It's better to give them a shitty 0/1 than a Murloc, but in both cases, they don't want either a random Murloc or a shitty 0/1. So this card does really good at countering decks with big minions. I think this could be played in control shamans that don't like to play a lot of minions. Maybe some kind of big shaman, or I've seen spell shamans around with like Malagos and stuff. This could work with that. But I like it. It's fun. Sometimes someone's going to just get a bunch of bullshit that's going to work, like Murkai and War Leaders and Bluegill Warriors. It's going to be epic. And last, we have the final card reveal from the Tavern Brawl reveal cards. One of the new warrior legendaries, Armagadillo. I love that name. It's beautiful. Anyway, it's a 6-mana 4/7 taunt that at the end of the turn will give all taunts in your hand +2/+2. So it is a taunt with a stacking bolster strapped on top of it. So now, I like this card. It's probably not good, but it's fun. The obvious deck that this card would go into is probably just Taunt Warrior, even though the typical version of Taunt Warrior that people usually play is Odd Taunt Warrior, and this card obviously doesn't work in Odd Taunt Warrior, so you could play a regular Taunt Warrior, and this might work pretty well. Is there a good payoff for it? In the right deck, I would say so. This has synergy with certain taunts. Ziliax would probably be the first example that I can think of that this card works really well with. So Probably not a good card in itself, but very fun. And I'd like to see some meme play from this card. And that's going to do it for this review. The community card reveal season is starting very soon, in the next couple of days actually. So expect a lot more of these videos. I'm going to crank them out as fast as I'm able to do. I have a job, but I'm going to keep doing these. They're fun. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this review for some reason, please subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.